one of the most common questions that I get, Rhiannon, is, for a long time, people knew us as successful insurance agents, and we were. And we launched hundreds of agencies with people, but we always had a huge, clean, awesome book of business ourselves of clients that you served, right? Every single day. And that's still going. One of the most common questions I get is, Nick, do you guys still do insurance? And the answer is, oh, yes. You don't see a lot of marketing behind it because we've been building other things, but we're about to fix that too, aren't we?
We are. There's a lot of misconception and a lot of agents, just like in Indian industry that are looking to make a sell. They don't have someone's bottom line. And some of the things that I've witnessed over the past few months, some of these things can be life or death. If you don't write somebody the right policy, or you don't you're not clear on what to expect. So many people out there tell these customers that they're giving them something that they're not. And, even the products that we have access to, they get a bad rep because the people that are on the other end selling them aren't doing what's best for that person. They're doing what's best for their bank account. And that's never something that's driven me. Sure, it's nice, but at the end of the day, I am someone that likes to be right, and I will go to bat. I feel like I could go to bat with any insurance agent in the country over what's available to people on the private market, public market. That is a big, big myth amongst consumers in that industry, that I'm healthy, I don't need it. Well, insurance is risk, right? You're a good driver, you don't need car insurance. Well, what about all the other people? You need car insurance.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the key word is accident. So you bought a brand new car. Why would you insure it? In case of an accident, in case it got stolen, right? You buy a new home. Why would you insure it? In case of an accident, tornado, something, a bad storm, something might happen, right? And you buy, why does a 23-year-old kid need life insurance, right? Well, besides from the financial benefits, if they know how to use those, in case of an accident, right? Because accidents happen to healthy people.
That's right.
Every day. So there's been, especially with the tragic thing that happened in New York last year with the CEO of United Healthcare that was murdered, a lot of people believe that health insurance is a scam, right? What do you say to that?
Anything, if you don't read the fine print, everyone would think everyone's a scam. Credit card companies, interest, a scam. No, it clearly states word for word what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. And insurance policies do the same. And I have read in Tennessee, every plan that's available in Tennessee, I have read every brochure, every exclusion, all of those things. And if you read those exclusions and read those policy brochures, you would know what to expect and what your plan's going to cover and what it's not, and what the limitations are if you have pre-existing, and if it covers doctor's visits. It is black and white. It's all there. Now, I will say some of the plans that you can pull up online without having a license, just you go as a consumer to healthcare.gov, even Farm Bureau, some of the healthcare solutions, the short-term plans, you can pull all those up. And there's definitely more of a brochure that goes with that than what you're seeing online. And they do send that to you, but most people just throw it away and don't read it. So it's not a scam if you read through what you're actually buying.
It is crazy to think that, because we used to do the same thing too. When you get that big gigantic packet in the mail of what looks like 10,000 pages, it looks like 15 Bibles stacked on top of each other. Mm-hmm. And they throw them away. Think about it. Think about all the information. Like, again, how can you manage your own expectations if you don't know the details of what you bought? You know what I mean? And like what we're going through with the pool situation. Well, guess what? Our pool was insured, but it very clearly states that what happened is not a covered thing, which means it's on the other party who built it and their insurance and whatnot. It's definitely not our insurance's responsibility. It's in black and white. Now, guess what? We didn't find that out until the claim happened. We thought, we're covered. It's probably going to be a thing, and it wasn't. So, like, again, this is a common mistake that everybody makes, including even us sometimes. But when we really got into it, and I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit hurt, even though it's not our insurance is our homeowner's insurance job to cover this, clearly. And now that we know what we know, and we got the legal help that we got and everything else, we definitely know that it's not for them. But like, I was a little bit hurt when they were like, when they say, sorry, that's not a covered thing. You're like, wait a minute, what? I just got rejected? That's what it feels like. But if I had known what I know now, I wouldn't have felt that way.
Well, and everyone is human, and most people take everything personally. And
hold on. There you go.
Insurance is just, I tell our clients, look, you got to be a couple things. You either got to be a really good consumer and know exactly what you're doing and know the stuff, or you can just let me be your advisor and I can help you through it. Trust is the relationship here, because I promise you, I have been through it, the last 20 plus years in this field. I'm pretty good at what I do. I'm very seasoned and very knowledgeable in most of the stuff.
Well, like one of the things I love to hear you say is like, the average family in the United States is going to pay probably somewhere between $800 and $1,500 a month on their health insurance, right? Is that pretty fair? Some good numbers? All right. So think about that. Let's just say $1,000 for a month for easy math times 12. It's a $12,000 a year decision. And you're going to try to take that on with no experience. Like, when else in your life would you make a $12,000 decision, knowing that you don't know what you're looking at and not want to have the opinion of an expert?
You should never. And when someone comes to us, a client, and they check the boxes of the products that I know are going to be best for them, I'm going to fight for them to get that product, because I know if something happens down the road, they're going to thank me. I don't care about the short term if they're, don't like what I say, because a lot of the times, well, I need to do some more research on my own. I need to look this up. Sure, let me do it with you. And most of the time, in a couple months, they usually come back and say, you're right. And I'm not saying I want to be right in that sense. I don't want them to be wrong and getting to a situation to where they're not covered on something because they went with the wrong policy.
It's a, let's see. It's one of those things where, like, people sweat the small things, right? Even our auto insurance has $1,000 deductible, right? And we hit a deer.
You hit a deer.
I hit a deer. Some significant. The deer actually hit me, if I'm being honest. But needless to say, may he rest in peace. But needless to say, even the Jeep was customed out. Like, you know what I mean? They were replacing all of it. We still had to pay that $1,000 deductible, to get it fixed, and it's going to take, a month to get it fixed. Now there's a rental car included and stuff like that, but like, we weren't. Think about that. A pretty significant accident, and we still had to come out $1,000. It's an insurance claim, but like, I have to put, like, when it gets out, we were literally had a thing on the books to get the new brakes and new tires and rotate them all and do some basic maintenance. Insurance don't cover that, but a lot of times when it comes to health insurance, people sweat the small stuff. They sweat the small stuff, and it's one of the most common things that I used to hear all the time that bothered me is there'll be a $20,000 bill. Network reduction would be, let's just say, $10,000. There's a $10,000 bill. They're like, my insurance didn't cover anything. Like, no, it did. It covered $10,000 because the bill was $20,000. It cut it in half, right? So on one $20,000 claim, if it covered half on $20,000 and you paid $12,000 a year, you just got $10,000 back like that, and that's before any plan benefits kick in. That's just the network reduction.
You're right. You're paying to be a part of that benefit of that discount program. I mean,
it's an association type rule.
Yeah. And so many people say, well, it's cheaper if I just pay cash. The discount for cash, you know what? Maybe on a one-off emergency room visit, but if you need a liver transplant, you can't even get one without health insurance. 90% of the time, if you don't have health insurance, you cannot get an organ transplant. So again, that's the small stuff. The big stuff is what truly, truly matters. And if you can afford to pay for it and you're willing to exchange $1,000 a month to cover your risk as we planned out your insurance plan, then why would you not do that, right? You don't want to come out. I would much rather be out of pocket 20 grand for the year because I paid 12,000 in premiums and my deductible was 8,000, then I could be out 2 million if I didn't have insurance.
That's what it really comes down to. So like, for me, there's no price on earth that I wouldn't pay to protect my family from the financial burden that could come, the unknown financial burden. But at the end of the day, let's just use a couple of examples. So like when Ethan was like 6 months old, I had appendicitis. It ruptured. It was a big old mess. And I don't remember exactly the situation, but we were in between policies. It was a waiting period on one, but basically we were uninsured as far as the hospital was concerned. Mm-hmm. And if my granddad hadn't have settled that and paid that in cash, it would have made things really hard for us because I missed work for quite a long time and we were flat broke at the time anyways. Mm-hmm. And that happened, when I first met you, I can remember the insurance agents coming over to the house and we'd always want the cheapest thing and never wanted to know about it and all of that. We were healthy young. We didn't need it. Well, dude, something happened and I needed it. And literally like something as simple as just paying your premium on time, because when you get into an underwritten plan and you let your policy lapse, if you've got something that happens sickness wise, they can't, you're going back through underwriting again and you can get declined. And we literally just, we have a close encounter with something that just recently happened with that. You know what I mean? Where it was a transplant was needed. So at the end, I'm saying that all to say, like, at the end of the day, it's $1,000 a month to make sure that no matter what sickness or critical illness, cancer, or accident could happen to you, it's not going to cause financial burden on your family. That's why you buy insurance.
That's right. You're literally exchanging risk for money. The more you pay the insurance company, the less risk you have. Same thing with your life insurance policy, your car insurance policy. If you go to thegeneral.com, not that I'm knocking that at all, but it's a very generic policy. Probably, I don't even know if it's the state minimum for car insurance. If you have a wreck, it's not going to cover that. You go online and buy a short-term plan for health insurance, they change the rules. 4 months is all that plan lasts. Mm-hmm. And if you have something happen, you can no longer be enrolled in a short-term plan. You have to re-enroll every 4 months. Mm-hmm. Sure, they're cheaper than what you're seeing, but they're cheap for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. You're not paying very much money. Why would you expect them to cover thousands and thousands of dollars when you're paying a couple $100 a month?
Yeah.
That's their business model still at the end of the day.
Especially if it's recurring medical bills over and recurring treatment over and over and over again.
Nobody's going to do that.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, just like life insurance or anything else, it's to protect you and your family from a financial hardship due to an unforeseen accident or illness, right? It's not necessarily, you can build it in, but it's not necessarily for, a vaccination or a well check or any of those things, just like your car insurance isn't for that for your car.
Right. I mean, some plans, it just depends on what you need. And that's I think one of my favorite things that I can do with clients is build something exactly the way they need it, down to what they want their deductible to be, what their co-insurance is, what their max out of pocket is. Do they want doctor's visits for the urgent care? Do they want prescription coverage? Do they want to, protect their $5,000 deductible on accidents and make it $500 and spend $20 more a month? Do they want to spend $40 more a month and get a lump sum cash check if they're diagnosed with a critical illness? Yes, we said yes to all of those. Mm-hmm. And that is my favorite part because you can take away or add whatever you want. Mm-hmm. But again, the less you pay, the more that's on you.
It was funny because, Rhea and I are worth a lot if something bad happens to protect the kids. And it was funny. I told the story the last time you were on here about how you were poisoning me with, what was it, with the fiber?
Yeah, the laxative.
She was giving me a laxative, telling me, and we thought it was fiber, and I took it for a month, and you can imagine what happened. And that was the joke is like, man, maybe I need to pull off that insurance policy just a little bit.
Yeah.